Welcome back to the Tool Crib. Today we are going to be looking at the Leatherman Charge TTI. Now this is the premium version, the upper tier version of the Leatherman Charge. So you have the Charge Plus and then you have the Charge Plus TTI. We're going to be drawing some comparisons with this multi-tool against its less flashy cousin, the Leatherman Wave Plus, and kind of highlight some of the differences between the two. We're going to go through the specs, then go through the tool set. We're going to talk about what are the attributes of this multi-tool. Why would you want to consider carrying this multi-tool? And then there's a couple of things that you should know about this tool before you make the jump to purchase it. We're going to discuss all of that right now. Let's get into the specs real quick. First and foremost, the price on this multi-tool is $170. And when you're comparing that to a Wave Plus is $100. And then when you're comparing it to a Charge Plus, that's at $140. So this is definitely the most expensive of the group. Now, overall, this is a standard duty multi-tool size, so it's going to come in a 4-inch frame or 101 millimeters, 1.5 wide at its widest point in the closed position, or 38 millimeters, 13/16 of an inch deep, outside to outside of the scales, which is going to be about 20.5 millimeters. The weight on this is going to be a little heavier than that of the other two models of the Wave Plus and the Charge Plus. It's going to come in at about 8.8 ounces, just a touch shy of that, or about 248 grams, where in comparison the Wave is 8.46 ounces and about 241 grams. Let's jump into the tool set of this and show you what the Charge Plus TTI is all about. First thing that we're going to talk about is one of the most important between all three of these multi-tools, and that's why I've brought the Charge Plus and the Wave Plus both in here. So the Wave has a 428C blade, and you'll notice they're all the same design, all the same length. And the Charge Plus has a nice 154 CM, but the Charge Plus TTI gets the premium version blade, and that is an S30V blade. So it is a very, very nice knife blade. And then while we have them open here, obviously the TTI is going to have titanium scales, where the Charge Plus is aluminum black oxide coating, and the Wave is stainless steel. Now the serrated blade on both the Charge Plus TTI and the Charge Plus is going to be exactly the same, so no need to bring it in here. But we have the Wave Plus here, and I forgot to mention that the blade length on both the serrated and on the main blade is 2 13/16 of an inch, or about 71 millimeters, and that's going to be true of all the blades on all three of these models. So it has the same serrated pattern, same draw cut functionality that you have on the Wave, but you get the added bonus of that gut hook, which comes in pretty handy for a variety of different tasks, and I really actually like the gut hook a lot on the Charge series. Now the remainder of the tools on all three models is going to be identical until we get to the pliers, so we're just going to look at the Charge Plus TTI. So on the file, that's going to be a 2.5 inch length, or about 63.5 millimeters. So we have diamond file, which I really like a lot on all of those multi-tools, and then the edge file, and then cross-cut combination wood metal file. And then on the opposite side, we have our saw blade, and these are going to house exactly the same saw blade. It's going to be the same 2.5 inches. It's going to be thicker on the cut edge than it is on the spine, so it cuts right through whatever you're trying to get through. And this saw really cuts well in both directions, so it cuts on both the push and pull stroke, which makes it a very, very effective saw. Now if we get her opened up, and we'll look at the interior tools. First tool is the screwdriver, the bit exchanger. And if you see the other reviews of these style multi-tools, you'll know that I'm a very big fan of the bit exchanger. It comes with a combination number 1, number 2 Phillips, and 3/16 driver on the other side. Also gives you the ability to add on the extension and a variety of different ways that you can use a screwdriver: closed, in a pistol grip, or in fully extended, which really increases the range of the driver capabilities, and it's something I like about all three of these models. Now the next tool over is going to be the 3 combination tool, one I really enjoy on all these tools. It's going to have that eagle claw shape, great can opener, decent bottle opener, and then the wire stripping functionality, and something I get a lot of use out of. I really like the wire stripper in the Wave and Charge series. Next tool is going to be our scissors. Now, the scissors on the Wave and Charge series are not very big. They are pretty effective on light stuff like paper and cardboard, poster board, stuff like that. Start getting into larger material, especially when you get into paracord, they tend to have a tendency to roll a little bit and not cut very effectively when you get into thicker materials. And then the next tool over is the micro driver, and it is reversible, has standard on this side and Phillips on the other. And then the last tool on the interior tools is going to be our, well, they don't call it out as a combination tool, but it really is. This is a light duty pry bar and a 1/4 inch slotted driver, so it works well for both. And then on the handles we have the ruler, and this is going to be the same for the Wave, Charge Plus, and Charge TTI. They have an 8-inch ruler, or about 19.5 centimeters, and that comes in handy. It's not as useful as like on a Victorinox Swiss tool, but nonetheless it can come in very handy. Now the last difference, and we're going to bring the Wave back in here, is on the plier heads themselves. So while we still have the same needle nose with your regular pliers and then 154 cm replaceable cutters and hardwire cutters, two differences that we need to notate here. The first of which is it integrates that crimper on the top, and I can tell you from experience that crimper it's pretty much worthless. It doesn't do a good job because it's too far away from the fulcrum point, and then it really doesn't crimp down well on a lot of different stuff. So it's kind of specific. It does okay if you're doing like a 10 or a 12 gauge butt splice connector, but you really got to put a lot of force behind it, and like I said, because it's far away from the fulcrum point, it kind of doesn't work very well, which is why I tend to lean more towards the Wave and the Charge Plus, because they don't incorporate that. That can also kind of get in the way if you're using the needle nose. If you're using the pliers, it tends to, it's at the wrong time, it seems, it slips off of whatever you're grabbing onto and runs into that, into those crimpers, and you just lose your grip on whatever you're working on. Now, in certain cases, I guess they could be advantageous, but for me personally, they've always seemed to be kind of more in the way than helpful. So I really wish that they would eliminate that. This is really not the kind of, it's not like an EOD tool, so that's something I wish they'd get rid of that crimper entirely. Now the next tool is on the back of the pliers, and that is the wire crimper. Now when I did my Charge Plus video, I forgot to highlight this, so I'm going to take the time to do it this time. So here I have a standard butt splice, and this is for 16 and 14 gauge, so it's pretty normal. Now the Wave Plus doesn't have a great wire crimper to begin with, and what will happen is, because those are hard plastic, you see how that kind of tends to want to slip out of there. So generally what I have to do with the Wave is kind of give it a little bit of a flat spot first with the pliers, and then I'm able to pull it back there, and then it will crimp in. Let's see if we can get that to illuminate a little better so we can get a little better angle. Then it crimps down, and it does a pretty decent job. Now the problem with the Charge Plus, which I forgot to highlight when I did that video, and the Charge Plus TTI, is that function is now pretty much useless, and the reason that it is because of the scales. So where the Wave, you'll notice it has the room in order to get around it, and doesn't really contact onto that connector. Well, now the scales are kind of in the way. So when I do this again, and we're going to have to do it the same way, we're going to have to make a little flat spot first with this one, and then put it in here. Now the problem is, if we look on the other side, we can see that the scales are already contacting the connector. So while I can crimp it I have to put a whole lot more force in it. And this is without any wire in it. Now, if wire was in it, then it's going to be a lot harder to get a good crimp connection. Now, if I bring in my Surge, by comparison, we'll do the same thing. Now, the Surge has its crimpers are a little further back. So I can sit on there and like nothing, it'll crimp it without any issue. It doesn't have the same issue that you have in the Wave and the Charge Plus and the Charge TTI Plus, or Charge Plus TTI. Excuse me. So that is one consideration, that when you're looking at both the Charge Plus and the Charge Plus TTI, and you need that wire crimper functionality, it's not going to work very well with the scales in the way. Now, if you don't need that function, then, nothing to worry about. Now, one other feature that I forgot to mention is that just like on the Wave Plus and the Charge Plus, you have the integrated lanyard loop that is right behind the saw blade. So if you choose to carry your multi-tool on a lanyard, you have that option. Now, just like the Charge Plus, you're going to get several accessories with the Charge Plus TTI. Those are going to include the pocket clip, an extra lanyard loop that will also lock into the tool, and the lock mechanism for them is actually right here. We'll go ahead and put the pocket clip on real quick, and your lanyard loop will go into that same slot. Then you also get 12 extra bits plus an upgraded sheath. Now, the sheath will allow you to carry everything. So if you want to, it has a slot for the bit sleeve on the back, and then we're going to do it with the pocket clip on it and place for the multi-tool, and then a couple side pockets. So if you wanted to put your extension, which does not come with it, you have to get that separately, and then you have a spot over here for a small flashlight or marker or whatever you choose to carry there. So that's a nice little feature that they have with the Charge series. I like that they give you those upgrades. So not only are you getting upgraded scales and upgraded blade steel, you're also getting accessories to go along with the Charge series of tools, and it's kind of one of those things that just makes it more premium. Now, let's talk about all the things that I do like about the Charge Plus TTI, and then there's actually a couple things that we need to touch on that I really don't like about the Charge Plus TTI. I think first and foremost, the thing that I like about the Charge Plus TTI is definitely the titanium scales. They give a level of appeal to this multi-tool that just screams that it's premium. And I have a couple of selections of some of the titanium stuff that I have here, and I like titanium, and I've seen a lot of really nice titanium EDCs, including pins and tactical pins and knives like my Chris Reeve here, just a number of things. So it just screams that it's premium, and that has got to be the very first thing that I like about the Charge Plus TTI. The next thing that I really like about the Charge Plus TTI are the knife blades. Obviously, the S30V blade on the TTI Plus, or the Plus TTI, it's nice. It's really nice. A very nice blade steel for a multi-tool especially. And then I really like the gut hook on the serrated blade, and I wish they put that into the Wave as well, but that's kind of one of those things that makes the Charge series of tools a bit more premium. Now, speaking of the blades, the smooth action that those extra phosphor bronze washers give you is really quite nice, how smooth all of your outer implements open. And so that is another attribute to the Charge Plus TTI. Now, as far as the other implements go, I like most everything on the Wave and Charge series of tools. Just about. I think they're missing one thing. If we're kind of spread those out a little bit, definitely love this one. Definitely love the bit exchanger. I like that the fact that they have a nice, decent screwdriver. I like to have a 1/4 inch or larger flat driver, at least one on the multi-tool. I think that because those also double as pry tools, so I like those a lot. The scissors leave a little bit to be desired, but it's nice that they have scissors on this multi-tool. Now, the one tool that's glaringly missing is the same criticism I have of the Wave Plus and the Charge Plus, and that's the fact that it doesn't have an awl. And to put an awl in here, you have to get rid of one tool, and the one tool I'd like to see gone is the little micro driver. Not gone completely, because I would like to see them create a bit that would integrate it into the main driver, where it's just, I think it's time for that. There's other implements that could go there that would be far more useful, because personally, and I know some people do get a lot of use out of it, and I have in the past as well, but I think it would be better if they integrated that some other way and gave us a different implement there. So that's one of my criticisms about this tool. Now, the next thing is that I don't like about the Charge Plus TTI, and that's going to be that that crimper. It's really kind of useless. It really is, because you're not close enough to the fulcrum to really get pressure on it, and then the way it's designed, it just doesn't make a good crimper for everyday use kind of application. It could be useful in certain applications, but more often than not, it's just in the way, and so I wish they would get rid of that. Now, when I did the Charge Plus video, I talked about value, and the fact that you get upgraded blade steel, the fact that it has a gut hook, the fact that it has a premium scales, and all the accessories that come with it, I feel that the Charge Plus is worth the extra $40 over the Wave Plus. Now, when it comes to the Charge Plus TTI, you're still getting that same $40 value. Now, what's the stretch to get to the next $30 to really, is it worth it? Is it worth it to go up to the Charge Plus TTI? Well, that depends. The extra strength blade steel, the harder blade steel with the S30V has got to be a consideration, and that's worth a little bit of value. But I don't think that they get there, that they cover that additional cost with just the blade steel. And so you have to look at the scales as the next. Now, do you want titanium? I guess is what it boils down to. The Charge Plus TTI kind of makes a statement that says, I'm fancy, I guess, I'm nice. I mean, this is really nice. I don't think it gets there. I don't think it gets to 170 in value. Now, I could definitely see it in the 155, maybe even in the 160, but I think it's a little bit overpriced, unless, like, some of those other nice titanium implements that I have, and tools and knives. Then if you're the guy that likes that styling, then yeah, I mean, if you got the money, why not? I mean, it's very nice. One other criticism that I forgot to mention, and I know I talked about it earlier, but one of the thing that I don't like about the Charge series is the fact that you lose the ability to use the back crimper, and that could be hit or miss. Some people use it, some people don't. On the whole, the Charge Plus TTI is premium, no doubt about it. I don't think it's worth the 170 though. I like it. I'm not trying to say that I don't like it. I like it a lot, as a matter of fact. But I honestly prefer the Charge Plus over the Charge Plus TTI. I'm okay with the 154 cm blade. It's kind of each their own when it comes to multi-tools, as I've talked about before. But the Charge Plus for me, the Charge Plus TTI, I'm sorry, is not quite there. It may be for you. At any rate, my review of the Leatherman Charge Plus TTI. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.